Hey guys, welcome back. Today I will be trying out a few art materials that I got over the past few weeks. Most of these are just paints that I ran out of. They're just the colors that I'm restocking, but there are also quite a few things in here that I haven't tried at all, so we will be using them to make an artwork right now. The first package that I got is from Art Whale Philippines, and I got a whole set of bigger tubes of the Holbein acrylic gouache, and I just got these because I think it's easier for me than to refill all of the colors that I had in my... It was a bigger set, but the tubes were smaller, so I quickly ran out of those colors. I also got a few tubes of white, but then I also have a whole box of blackwing matte pencils, and this is one of the things that I haven't tried before, and I keep on hearing people talk about them, so I really can't wait to try them. These next ones are Holbein traditional gouache, which I've already tried. This is mostly the only gouache that I use. Only one of these colors are new. I mean the burnt umber, which I also already tried in another video. Actually didn't think that I ordered burnt sienna. I thought I had forgone it for the burnt umber, but I think that's where I mixed up my orders with the white and that one. This next package was from Indonesia, and the shop is called Bali Artimedia. That is where I also got my older sketchbook from, but one big disclaimer for them is that they don't give out official receipts of their orders, but from them I got double-sided tape, which I just use all the time at home, and then I also got just one Faber-Castell polychromos pencil just so I can try them out because I've always been so curious about them. I'm going to be using this to do my initial sketches today. I also got to try the Princeton Snap brush, which I used in my other video, but I'm still going to use that one today too. I have the most adorable little mixing palette, which I think is really cute, but also it was somewhere around 600 pesos, so it is a little bit expensive, but I've always wanted a smaller one that have sections like this. This next one is the thing that I was most excited about. This one is called the Talents Art Creation Sketchbook, and I got this because I finished my last one and I really wanted to get one that's more accessible to more people, because the handbook journal I think a lot of people don't know about. So I just got this one, and I actually thought they were the same size, but this one is actually a lot smaller than the other one, and also the paper you can already see is a lot warmer toned than the paper on the last one. This next package is from the oil paint store. The main thing I got from them are canvas panels because I wanted to use them for my 1 photo and 4 mediums series, and along the way I just got these sakura brushes. They don't have any markings on them, but I do remember that these are sakura brushes. One thing I'm also intrigued by that I also got are the Winsor Newton Designers Gouache, which I haven't tried at all, but I have seen a lot of YouTubers have these be their favorite gouache, so I've been really wanting to try them. I just got the colors that I thought I would need. And then I also got fixative, which is another thing that I haven't tried yet. Today I'm going to see how the surface will feel like when I paint on them. So I'm trying out my sketchbook, and I actually started in the middle of the sketchbook. It's one of those things that helps me get over the anxiety of starting a new sketchbook, is just throwing out all the rules for it. So for this one I'm starting in the middle. Sometimes I would do swatches in the first page so it doesn't intimidate me, but this time we're just doing a sketch in the middle of the sketchbook. And I'm using my new polychromos pencil to sketch, and I really like it. I think it's about as soft as the Holbein colored pencils. They're very similar in a lot of ways actually, but I think that the polychromos erase better than the Holbein colored pencils, but I also think that the Holbein colored pencils would blend better than these. But that is just me using them in a sketch, so not really blending with them, just my initial first impressions. I also think that these feel a lot stronger than the Prismacolors, which I've used before too. They're a lot softer. They really do remind me of the Holbeins. I from watching reviews, I kind of thought they would feel similarly to the Prismacolor very thins, but those just feel like pencils, like actual pencils. But this one really feels like colored pencils still, so I really like that they just glide along the paper, which is great for sketching like this. And also, like, the Holbeins, they build up in values really well, so the harder you sketch with them, they would just go really dark, which I love about them, because when you're sketching initially, you want to do really light strokes and get lighter pencils to figure out where your sketch is going first, which is what I'm doing. And then when I've figured out where I wanted to go, I'm just able to use slightly harder pressure on them to make the lines look darker, so it will still show up. It really is great. And then I tried out the blackwing. These came unsharpened, so I got to sharpen them before I got to use them, and they sharpened really well. They felt great on top of the colored pencils, which is something that I didn't expect. I really love the polychromos in that way, in that they don't feel as waxy as the other colored pencils. So if you do want to use carbon pencils like this one, they would feel good on top of that too. The blackwing pencils are great. They just drew really beautifully, and one thing I didn't expect from them is they also erased really well. I've already mentioned that I like how they sharpened. They keep their points really well too. And they're also really soft. When I do try to get just these really fast strokes with them to really quickly just put down some darker values, like what I did for her hair and her blouse, when I was drawing with it like mostly just on its side, it felt great doing that too. So I really like this. It's matte, but it's not as matte as something like the Mars Lumograph Black, because that one just doesn't reflect light at all. That one really feels like charcoal, I think. This one still feels like a pencil. I actually think that I prefer these than the Mitsubishi Hai Uni, just for the fact that they are matte, but they also still feel like pencils you want to sketch with. The Mitsubishi Hai Uni I really loved sketching with, but I don't love using it for videos or for taking photos of my artworks because they just are so shiny. This one is matte, but it's also just a little bit shiny too, just not as bad as the Mitsubishi Hai Uni. This one just slightly leans more matte than that. And just like the polychromos, these things build up in values extremely well. So every time I kept on drawing on it, even when I've drawn, I think, really dark values, I could still take it to a point where I could go darker than that, and it surprises me every time. And right now it looks like a fairly dark pencil drawing, but actually after I've put gouache on it, I actually use the same pencil to darken up some areas more, and even then I could still go darker than what it looks like right now. So these pencils are just so great. I feel like they are worth the price, and I can't wait to draw with them more. The next thing we're trying out is this fixative spray, and I really can't pronounce its name. I'm so sorry. I will just put it in the screen. So I'm using it right now, and it actually dries really fast. I didn't expect it to dry this fast, and it already, I felt like, fixed the pencil on top of the paper. After that, it didn't move as much, or actually at all. I didn't really notice the pencils moving under my finger when I brushed my hand a little corner in the sketchbook, but it did warp up my paper, which is something I didn't expect, and I think is a natural reaction to the paper getting wet. So I think if you do this in a sketchbook like this, maybe to tape down the edges just so you avoid warping like this. But after that, I had to put washi tape to hold down the paper, but also I'm not too worried about it because I did draw in the middle of the sketchbook, so I know it will flatten out eventually. And now it's time for the fun part, another fun part, because I really did also enjoy the sketching stage. We're using the mixing palette, which I think is just so cute. The colors I'm using right now are the Holbein gouache in black, white, and red, because I really did have to supplement the colors that I had for the Winsor Newton designer's gouache, and then I used those in yellow and in sepia. So initially when I first mixed in these colors, I didn't notice a lot of difference between them. I think I would have to use them more together for me to notice if there are some glaring differences between these two, but for now I actually didn't notice that much. It's very different from the Talon gouache, which I used before, and I used it once and I immediately knew that I didn't like it because the way it reactivated didn't feel as velvety smooth as it was when I used it fresh. With these two, I couldn't figure out the difference that well. With at least this early and with the colors that I have, but for now they actually do feel very almost interchangeable. They both mixed really well with each other. The colors remained pure longer, so you don't see the whites just graying up the other colors. But I did use the Holbein gouache, the Holbein white, so I don't know how the Winsor Newton white will fare, but I really like these colors too. I just don't think that I would invest in these when I know that the Holbein gouache works just as well as they do. So I'm gonna talk about this piece a little bit. I thought it would be really fun to only paint with gouache the highlights of the photo, because I really like how the shadows look in the reference photo that I was trying to draw. So I thought it'd be really cool to only paint the highlights and leave the shadows to be just the pencils. So I really like this look. One thing that I didn't notice initially when I was painting her face, but I did notice while I was painting her pants, was that the gouache didn't feel great on top of the fixative. It just felt like there was a plasticky layer on top of the paper, which I didn't really like, but I did love using the pencils again on top of the fixative. I felt like I could get darker values because of the fixative, because the ones before aren't interrupting with the new layers of pencil. And also the fixative did have this sort of grainy texture to it, so it's not just fully glassy and smooth, it still feels great with the pencils. So I would highly recommend these for rendering out just drawings that have a really big difference in values. So these would feel great for maybe charcoal and pencils, but I just don't like them so much for my gouache, which they're not really supposed to anyway, just in case you guys are wondering, because I always get asked if I use them. So now you know that I won't anytime in the future still. Now for the brushes, I really love the Sakura brushes just because they were so inexpensive, and I felt like they just did their job. They kept their points really well, they were small, and so I could do these small details with them. They don't feel that great build quality wise because they are just so inexpensive. They actually feel kind of hollow, but they do their job. I would actually prefer buying a lot of these over time, because I know, especially using gouache and acrylic gouache interchangeably, I know I could ruin my brushes when I forget to wash them when I'm using acrylic gouache. I think for my use it's safer to get brushes like these, but with the Princeton snap, I really just loved using watercolors with them and also gouache. I feel like if you're working mostly with traditional gouache and watercolors to just get something like these. There are better quality. They're a little bit more expensive, but you know that you won't be ruining them if you forget to dry them, because you could still clean them out if you forget at one point. These just stay true to their name. I love the flex on them. I love that they keep their shape really well, and they also hold up quite a bit of water when you're planning on using watercolors with them. As for the artwork, I ended up really liking it. I think there's such a big contrast between the very matte nature of gouache and how it would look the same in every angle that you look at it from, and the reflective look of the pencils that I think it ended up working. And I even like that on some lighting you only get to see the gouache and it looks like the highlighted parts of the drawing or this artwork is coming out more and the shadows are just being held back. It's hard to explain, but I really like the look of it, and I'm excited that that is what I started with for this sketchbook. I'm excited to try new things with it. But yeah, so that is it for this whole art haul. I don't know how art haul are supposed to work, if you're supposed to try every single thing that you've bought, and I didn't do that, but I still hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, you guys are the best, and I will see you guys again soon.